Well, this month's Culture Matters segment takes us inside the mortgage sector, and a growing mortgage company started about 10 years ago here in Indianapolis and has grown rather nicely. The company is Royal United Mortgage, and Paul Ashley is a managing director at FirstPerson. He joins me now, as always, with some perspective on a company, as I said, that has grown rather nicely. 10 years old, but it's a company now, 400 employees company-wide.
400 employees, 300 of which are located here in Indianapolis in the Castleton area. They've got other offices in Schaumburg, Illinois, Austin, Texas, and out on the coast of South Carolina. And they've really grown their business by focusing on the training and development of people. And it really made me think of I think it's attributed to Zig Ziglar quote. Mike Kelleher, the CEO, passionately lives and breathes this, that you don't grow businesses, you grow people. And when you grow those people, your business grows. And Mike and the rest of the senior team and the partners there, they live and die by that moniker.
And a big part, it seems to me, a big part of the culture too is about the opportunity for upward mobility. In terms of the growth, much of it has come through internal promotion. 95% or so of these jobs being filled, these promotions come from within.
Yeah, and they've done a nice job recruiting people, and then they have a very specific training and development program. So for somebody who comes in fresh to the industry, there's some licensing you have to go through. So what they do is over a 12-week period, they focus really heavily on preparing them for both their career in the industry, but also mastering the exam. And that's a combination of one-on-one meetings, classroom style, and then on-the-job training. So that at the end of the 12 weeks, they're prepared to take the exam. Now that they've taken the exam, they get into the business, and it really becomes a meritocracy. And those who perform well and hit their marks, and it's very collaborative to do so, they're the ones who get promoted. They make up that 95%. And as they've grown, Gary, there's been a ton of opportunity for promotion, and they've looked from within because they're able to recruit and then train really well people for their future growth.
That training piece, and you mentioned it as being a real focus of the company, starting at the top with the CEO. A lot of people talk about training and that need to train people. Not everyone can follow through, but I sense the situation this is very much a part of the company's culture.
Yeah, the senior team is committed deeply to it, and you're right. There are a lot of companies that talk about it, and I think it's helped them quite a bit because I think the younger workforce, the millennials and younger, really like the idea of personal growth and development, and training, on-the-job training and development is a key part of what they deliver to their associates, and it really has allowed them to attract and retain great talent.
The CEO, Mike Kelleher, talked about a decade or so looking at some real challenges and need to transform certain things, one of them being the office space, and that was in, I think, 2009, something that was a real focus.
Yeah, they did. They put new splashes of color. They were able to get some of the key words, phrases, beliefs, goals, values, and put them on the wall. They did a study and found really a survey of their own employees and found that they like to look at pictures of themselves in action and serving the community that they're in. And so if you go around the office, it's just very clear messaging about who they are, what they do, what they believe, and then their own peers in action really kind of make up the artwork of the space.
Yeah, and I looked at some of the background on the company, and you talk about that mission, that vision, and what the culture they want to create there. They talk about having everyone understand that the work they're doing matters, that it impacts the customer in so many ways, impacts their life.
Yeah, because when you think about what is the mortgage product,
yeah.
It's about creating an opportunity for the American dream in many ways, right? And so they teach and train, and they believe this higher calling, this missional focus of taking care of their people, taking care of their customers, and therefore taking care of their community. And they're all intertwined because they know they're making a difference in people's lives by the products that they create. And what I've also noticed too is kind of their secret sauce. You see it on their website, you see it in action, you hear it from their associates. Their secret sauce is not about selling product, but about really training the consumer about what is the process, because you don't buy a mortgage every day, right? And so it's what is the process, what do they need to know, and they do a really good job of educating the consumer so they can make great decisions.
You mentioned the community, and that's another big piece, I think, of the culture at Royal United is giving back to community, and they have a really diverse number of investments, if you will, that they make in terms of time and money in the community.
Yeah, it's one of the more generous volunteer time off, or VTO as we call it, policies. They give every associate 4 hours a month. So that's 48 hours per associate per year, which is an unbelievable amount of time. Now that time gets used both on group projects that they kind of do as teams or entire organization, and then individual areas of interest that people can request time off for and be a paid, paid time off to do volunteer work, and that's extremely generous. Some of the ways they focus on Boys and Girls Club, Barton House School on Wheels, and they really had a very interesting project at Arsenal Tech High School. They sort of came alongside the track team, and they said to the track team, who was sort of struggling for uniforms and equipment because they were spending time and resource on nutrition, and they said, we'll take care of both. We're going to get you your pre-competition nutrition, and we're going to buy you new track uniforms. Yeah. So they were able to do both, which is it's a game changer. Yeah, and really giving back and making a difference in a big way. Also, in terms of the focus on employees' health and the healthiness of employees is a focus. Unfortunately, Indiana as a state doesn't stack up very well when it comes to obesity and smoking, some of those metrics. But Rural United puts a big premium on health. And it goes back to the meritocracy piece, right? They want to award people who perform at the high level, and they also believe that those who are most physically well, emotionally well, spiritually well, mentally well, are the ones who are going to perform at the highest level. So they invest corporate resources and time through their engagement team. And I think it's important to note they don't have a human resource department, they have an engagement team. And that engagement team is a spearhead for the wellness and well-being efforts within the organization, because they know if they have healthy employees, those employees are more productive and they can achieve the goals that both they as individuals have and the business has for them.
And you talk about awarding success and those who win. I know they have trips, some nice trips they take.
They do.
Give to those high-performing employees.
I know that you and I are interested to maybe qualify for their trip. There's some achievements that they have to hit, and about the top 20% of the organization and the roles they're in are able to qualify for they and a +1 to go to a destination trip.
Very good. Rural United Mortgage, a company doing some very creative things when it comes to innovation and culture in the workplace. Paul Ashley, as always, thanks for some great perspective. We'll talk to you soon.